order. This meeting is being held electronically under Section 7E of the Open Meetings Act. Under Chairman's remarks, I really just have the budget. I just want this committee to take a quick look at our budget and and then have it go to finance for the whole board to give us some input. So with that, do we have any public comment? Okay, no public comment. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of.
So moved.
Member Chaplin, we need to do the roll call. I think we skipped that one.
We did a visual roll.
Oh, and I didn't do a roll call. That's right.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. I'm trying to rush through it. So Brian.
It's okay. Yeah.
Yeah, can we take a roll, please?
Member Chaplin,
Here.
Vice Chair Krajewski,
Here.
Member Healy. Aye. Member Larson. And Member Selman.
Here.
Elliot. So
And the record reflected, I just joined as well.
Thank
it's
you,
just a
Tim.
roll call right now, Tim.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so with that, we'll move on to the approval of minutes from July 7th.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
We gotta do a roll call.
Roll call, sorry, roll call.
Present is Chair Chaplin.
Aye.
Vice Chair
Aye.
Krajewski. Member Elliott.
Aye.
Member Healy. Aye. Member Selman
Aye.
and Member Larson. Not present.
Okay, the motion passes. Okay, now we're going to go on to our discussion items, which is our 2021 proposed budget.
Okay, I'm going to share the screen so that you all can see the budget that we are going to be discussing today. These are the general fund items that have been funded under environmental programs directly out of the general fund. There was some discussion about this Tuesday, so we went ahead and we're just giving you what the full funding would look like. We have not completed a walk down. We wanted to talk to this committee before we considered a walk down. We have had a discussion with the funding partners of the HHW facility, and all the partners, Aurora, Kane County, Will County, and City of Naperville, are all planning on full funding in 2021. So Liz, I'm going to hand it to you if you wanted to have a discussion about where we are with this budget.
Yes, let me, am I on, can you guys hear me? Okay. So this is our budget, and as you can see, we don't have a lot of wiggle room here. You know, I think we're gonna have to make a decision on, you know, what we want to do if we're committed to still funding the hazardous waste facility 100%. You know, the environmental summit and document shredding, I don't know where that falls on your radar as levels of importance, and then our environmental education partner scarce. So I wanted to open this up to the committee to get your thoughts and feelings on, you know, what you want to, how you want to handle our budget going forward. Member Salmon?
Thank you, Member Chaplin. As comments I had made on Tuesday, I just kind of wanted to reiterate. Looking at this budget for the HHW facility, I think that's one that is being used, if not at the same levels as last year, probably a little more, as everyone's home and, you know, trying to keep themselves entertained by cleaning up their garages. Maybe that's just me. But the environmental summit and co-sponsorships, I know that's, you know, obviously the smallest line, but I hope we could look at that and maybe see if we, you know, if we supported events at a certain figure last time, but now they're remote, maybe we could reduce that. The document shredding, when I was looking through the packet, I noticed we have sort of clusters where there's a lot of activity. I wonder if we could commit to maybe dividing that up to be a little more prudent. If I remember correctly, it was like there was a Township of Wayne, Township of Winfield, and City of Wheaton. And I thought, you know, if we need to be prudent, maybe we can try to keep one per district if we're looking at that. And then hopefully I'm thinking environmental education. I hope Kay can talk to us a little bit about what could be reduced just because of how the year is expected to be different, and then what would be, I want to hear is what would be damaging to your organization if we were to cut it. Because I know you've just moved into a new fantastic facility, and so I don't want to throw a bunch more uncertainty at you if we can afford it. So those are my comments. Thank you, Member Chaplin.
Thank you, Member Selman. Member Krajewski or Member Elliott, do you have any comments or questions on the budget?
I guess I would just say, well, first, I don't know where we're at. Joy, we talked about the COVID money helping doing an extra event for the Naperville facility since Naperville was shut down because of COVID. And my understanding is they're at capacity. So now that they opened up, it's not like they can take any more. So those days that were shut down for months, we were talking about potentially looking at using COVID funds to do an event maybe at the fairgrounds.
And that's a discussion of the next bullet item. I don't know.
Okay, that's fine. We can
if you
discuss
wanted
it.
to- Yeah, hopefully we can divide the two.
Yeah, we can just, that's fine. We can discuss it there. Then on the, I mean, this budget's so small, but regarding document shredding, 6,500, I see out by me in my district, a lot of private organizations doing document shredding with advertising, whether it's Wintrust Community Bank or private business doing it in coordination, West Suburban Humane Society, that maybe we use staff to help promote the private sector to do more document shredding. They do it for the advertising. Sometimes they only limit it to 2 boxes, but there's in my district a number of private entities that do document shredding on weekends, and maybe work with Choose DuPage and Greg Bedeloff and his business community to try to do the document shredding. We could probably increase the amount done in DuPage, and we just promote it on our website. Like I said, there's a lot of private companies that do them down by me, but that's $6,500, which is nothing in the budget. And then from the education standpoint, I mean, I know we've increased it. I remember when I was on the board years ago, I think when Jeff Reddick was our environmental chairman, we were cutting the program and the full board brought it back. But I thought at that time we were only funding 40,000. So we must be, we've increased the funding tremendously. I assume we're doing more.
Yeah. Okay. Member Krajewski, are you done with your comments? Because I can't hear you anymore. I think you froze.
Have we been working with?
Oh, there you go. Okay, you're back.
With regards to COVID, have we been working with Scarce and trying to how to promote the education during this pandemic? Have you been working with Scarce?
We have been promoting their virtual events on our website under the recycling events. And I think Kay has that as part of her presentation later on as well, as far as her being able to pivot. And
have they been working with us in some of the things that we want to have done and how we'd like to have it presented? Have they been working with us on doing that?
We have started some conversations about that, about the fall and how things are going to unfold. So yes, not entirely. Kay has been able to pivot some of the recycling events. She's been working on those and such, but we have not had a comprehensive conversation about how to.
Have they been taking our recommendations though, or embracing our recommendations on what to do?
To some extent, yes, she's been providing a lot of webinars. She's started some videos, I believe. In her presentation, she has some videos that she was going to talk about. But we do need to have another meeting to talk about what the fall will look like now that we know what schools are going to be doing. That was something when we talked back in June. We were waiting to see what the schools were doing. Now that we know, we have a better picture.
Okay, well, it appears Nick wants to jump in.
Yep, sorry.
I just want to say yes. We've met with Kay and her team, with our team. Obviously, the whole landscape for the environmental education is completely turned upside down, and I think we're all still trying to figure out how to adapt to it. And I think Kay and her team are open to it. We have some ideas, and as Joy said, we're trying to figure out what the landscape is going to be in the fall. Are they going to allow Kay and her team in? Are they not going to allow Kay and her team in? To that end, I know that Joy and Andy have have been negotiating kind of a revised contract with Kay and Scarce to reflect the virtual landscape that we're doing. I mean,
Right.
for just so you guys know, for the budget, you've got 4 items on there. Our base budget is exactly what you see. That's been entered in, so it's exactly like it was in for 2020, for 2021. The real question would be the 10, 20, and 30% walk downs, how you would like to put those in. You know, which one of those will be the reality yet to be seen. I would say that the 5-10% is a very big reality, that the 20-30, unless if things go a lot further south, I would say the 10 is probably pretty realistic. So we need to figure out what we want to take down out of those 4 items.
Okay, yeah, just saying the whole model and how we deliver the next year may be different from the educational standpoint, so that may have a big function on the actual cost. I don't know. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Elliott, did you have some comments you would like to make?
You know, my comments, I think, would basically echo what Ashley and Brian already said. For myself, I look at the hazardous waste facility. I find it very difficult to do anything that would impair that. I just think that serves a really important function, and I wish funding was different, because I would love to see us being able to do a second one of those, because you've heard my comments before, I'm just not persuaded that location can service the whole county. But we're not in that world right now. I do think on the shredding, I had the same comment as Member Krajewski, that if that was something that we had to give on, perhaps we could try and find a way to partner with the private sector to kind of transfer that to them. You know, the $136,000 that is education, I definitely want to hear a little bit more about that and try to understand if there's any opportunity to trim some expenses, but maybe deliver those services remotely, or, you know, in the way that we're all doing these days.
Thank you all so much. I appreciate all your comments. And I agree with a lot of what you're all saying. I know, as I mentioned last week during our budget hearing, that you know, the household hazardous waste facility, we work so hard to keep that in our budget. And we did reach out to all of the other entities that contribute to that, and they all are committed to fully funding the hazardous waste facility. So I don't think DuPage County wants to be the one to bring it down. So I think, you know, we're pretty much committed on keeping that where it's at. As far as the environmental summit and the document shredding, I'm okay with taking those completely out of the budget. And with the document shredding, I've also noticed that some elected officials, state reps and things, also host document shredding events. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for the document shredding events to be either taken care of through the private sector or other entities. And yeah, and then we just have to work on our environmental education number there, and see where we can get with, you know, get with that. You know, I don't want to, I'd like to hear from Scarce, seeing if they think their programs are going to be scaled down. That might, you know, allow them to take a little bit out of the budget, but, you know, we're going to have to really decide how we're going to move forward. So Joy or Nick or anybody else have any?
So it sounds like from what I'm gathering, the direction of the committee, just to kind of encapsulate it, would be that obviously we'll move forward with our budget as stated for our base budget. We will, as far as the walk downs, the walk downs we're going to put down is we will take the environmental summit and document shredding down to 0 first, and then we will then take whatever, in order the subsequent ones, we will take the environmental education down as we go, and hopefully if we're only in the 5 to 7%, it may not even impact environmental education. Maybe those 2 items, if that's the budget cut that we need at the end of the year, there will be no impact to our 2 biggest items in this budget, but that will be how we take it down. Obviously, just so Kay knows, because you've been a great partner all along, the 20 and 30% budget walk down will definitely impact you, but it doesn't look like we're at that scenario. But just so you know, that will be the budget walk down that we will have in the budget. Is that correct? Does that kind of encapsulate what you guys want?
So when
Sure,
we,
yes.
so when we present our budget to the board, we're going to present it as we have it here today,
Correct.
and then with the walk downs,
Correct.
correct?
We will take all the money out of the environmental summit and the document shredding first. And I want to, Joy, is there anything negative of doing those two first?
We absolutely can.
Okay.
And that's fine. I just want the committee to realize that that 10% is still 24,000. So eliminating the document shredding and the summit does not even get us to the 10%.
Oh,
So
right.
we do have additional cuts to get to the 10%.
Well, it's going to be the education. It's
Right.
we're not touching the Naperville.
The balance will be the education, and then obviously the 20 and 30% will be all of the education as we move forward. I mean, I anticipate us being in the 5 to 10% cut range, but time will tell on that, but that's how we'll present the budget.
Just one last thing, or Nick and Joy, or Liz as chairman. Do we ever look at setting up a outside not-for-profit? We have one for animal services. We have one for the care center. The sheriff has one. I believe the state's attorney has one, because there are people that like environment, but we could probably set one up similar to one of the 4 or 5 we have, either direct by the county or indirect by outside organization to raise money, and that could cover document shredding, summits, and several other things. But I think that there is, 1 million people on DuPage and people that are interested in the environment and would look to, help public or privately fund the public stuff that we do.
That's a great thought. Nick or Joy, have we ever discussed that? You guys ever thought about that?
I was going to say, it's been probably 15 years since we've had a discussion about a not-for-profit. At that time, it wasn't feasible, but we can absolutely start discussions again with the state's attorney's office and try to determine what that would look like.
Yeah, I mean, it's a possibility. We can explore that.
Yeah.
And then we partner with our Choose DuPage people, because they can help with that, maybe even sit on a board, or anybody that's retiring from the county board, maybe like a Jim Healy or something.
Bye.
And there's no service that we provide that we could, charge a fee that could help our budget. I know stormwater has fees, but there's really nothing in there that we can.
No. There's really not an option for a fee-based. I mean, this has always been, and the one thing, there was some discussion there about the funding for K and scarce. I will say that it used to be a lot more than it is right now. Over time, it has reduced. It's been at this level for some time, but I think maybe 10, 12 years ago, it was probably almost double this amount. So it has, I mean, it was a lot higher before K, is that correct?
It was never double what we're at, but when we had the education center in Carroll Stream, that was the highest it ever was, because we were, such a new facility. But it hasn't. We haven't had a raise or anything in, I don't know, 8 years, Joy, and then it was reduced before that. So
if the board is comfortable, that's how we'll present, finalize our budget with finance department, and then move that forward, and then we'll just see as time goes on how the budget develops.
Yeah. I think that would be the direction to give this to the finance department as it is, and then with the 10% and the walk downs, and see how the rest of the board, how they feel on this. Okay, thank you. Okay, any other questions or comments regarding our budget discussion? Okay, we'll move on to, we have potential environmental projects.
Yes. So this discussion is, unfortunately, Member Krajewski just popped off as well. We want to follow up on.
I'm still here, Joy, sorry.
Okay, great. So the conversation that we had at our last environmental committee, there were several suggestions about using the CARES Act funding for environmental programming. And we've come up with 2 ideas. Our first idea would be to hold a one or two household hazardous waste events in the fall to try to relieve some of the burden on the Naperville facility. Member Kajewski had some very good, I guess, support for the fact that that facility has a specified capacity, and it is reaching capacity due to COVID. And we did approach this with the auditor as well. So I'll throw that one out there. And then the second one, our second idea was to do a marketing campaign that evolved around contamination in the recycling stream, because the recycling stream is being contaminated with the gloves, the masks, and the PPE. Folks are throwing it into the recycling bins. In addition to a litter campaign, et cetera, et cetera. So we do have the auditor here, and I'm not sure Mary Catherine did Guidehouse.
Sure, we have Guidehouse on the phone with us today.
Beautiful.
And I guess I would just take a minute and say, is that, oh, do I need to talk into that? Okay. Oh, it's up above? Okay, I'm gonna stand here like.
I gotta put Healy, I gotta put Jim back on.
I gotta run downstairs.
As we look at eligibility for the CARES Act, where we can show something is incrementally, where we can clearly show that it's a new cost that didn't exist before, and it is attributable directly to COVID-19. That's going to make it easier for us to show that the expense is eligible. So I know I saw the material. I got a quick memo that kind of outlines that, but where we can focus on how it's a new cost because the existing facility is at capacity and the existing facility was closed for a while. Those are factors that are going to make it more likely to be eligible. And I guess I would put my staff from Guidehouse, who's, I don't see the.
Sorry, Member Chaplin, I'm sorry, who is this speaking? Could they
I'm sorry,
introduce
I'm Mary
themselves and what they're doing?
Yeah, I'm Mary Catherine. I work as a deputy CFO, and I work in the finance department.
Okay.
I've been here for a couple of years, and I'm the person that's reviewing everything that's COVID related.
All right,
So
when
all
you
the
say
expenses are
Guidehouse,
coming-
is that the company we hired to,
And
is our
Guidehouse
auditor?
is our new consultant that we
Okay.
hired, that you guys hired a couple weeks ago. They just started on Monday. We
Okay.
have a team of people that are remote. There's one person that's on the phone with us now. So I thought I would ask him to speak, but also just in general, I'm working closely with Auditor Grogan as we review all the eligible expenses. And I apologize for not introducing myself. And I didn't know if, before we put Guidehouse on the phone, if Auditor Grogan wanted to make a comment,
Sure.
just a follow-up comment.
Yeah, so Mary Catherine, I think, covered it well. I think that the discussion document that was drafted up, makes a decent case. I think that there may be a couple other COVID impact issues that may be relevant to put into this kind of substantiation. For instance, the fact, I think it's very important that the facility was closed during the COVID, shutdown period, and those days can't be made up per contractual, is what I understand. So if that is the case, that's a very strong point towards that's why we would need to have some supplemental fees or costs to make up those days that can't be made up from the existing contract. But other than that, I think Mary Catherine covered it well, and I think that we're on the way to making a solid case for it.
Thank you. Can I just make I'm going to make a comment here. So if we do this hazardous waste event, how much are we going to use of the COVID funding? Was it 100,000 that we were planning to use? What was the?
One event can cost anywhere between 75 and 150. Unfortunately, I would love to be more specific, but it is dependent on the turnout. When you have a base cost, it's a mobilization fee for the staff to come out to the site and set everything up, but then you pay for disposal. So every aerosol can, every the cooking oil, motor oil and such that's brought to the site is then bulked and shipped and disposed of. So unfortunately, it's very difficult for me to give you an exact number, but I would say somewhere between 75 and 150. It would be our goal to have this somewhere in the eastern part of the county or southeast part of the county, just to accommodate those folks that have trouble getting to Naperville.
And the one thing I'd like to add on on that. Everybody needs to realize that if we do a one-day event for household hazardous waste collection, whereas Naperville, the EPA pays for transportation and disposal, we are responsible for everything from all the way through. So they will cover nothing. So that's why the costs are so high. Just so everybody's aware of that.
Okay, Member Salmon, and then Member Krajewski.
Thank you. Nick, this might still be a question for you. So I'm looking at the CARES Act allocation that you gave us on June 17th. And I'm just wondering, where would this money come out of, and the money we've already set aside for our CARES allocations?
This would come out of, if down at the bottom, I don't have it in front of me, but I think there was 11 million that was unallocated, 10 or 11 million at the very bottom.
For contingency?
And that would be contingency. That is up to the members or other programs that they feel meets the needs of the county, and that would absolutely come out of that pot of money.
Okay, I just wanted to see if we had already accounted. So it'd be 100 for HHW, and then a little bit more for, did we get a number for marketing, what we thought that would look like?
We're thinking about between 10 and 20,000.
Okay, so let's call it 120 grand just to be, okay, all right, thank you.
Member Krajewski?
Yeah, Joy, I think you did a phenomenal job on this. I would allocate 150,000, and then we see what happens. And if it is very successful and we spend the whole amount, if we only spend 75 or 100, but it still was very successful, we have till December 20th. If there's money left over, we could potentially do a second event. If you're doing it down in the southeast, I would also work with the townships to have them publicize the hazardous waste, but we really need to work on the advertising of it to get as much hazardous waste out of people's houses to that whatever site we decide to use. And then from the advertising or marketing standpoint, with the I guess the contamination in the garbage bins, I would work with all the municipalities, which you may do already with their cable TVs, because they're always looking for things to put on. I know our health department does a very good job with sending it out to the various communities. Their little snippets that they put on those videos that they run 24/7. So it'll help get the word out with regards to the recycle bins. But I think we put 150,000 in this program.
Okay. Any other comments, Member Elliott? Anybody? No, I think it's a good use of our COVID money. It's important use. And I agree with absolutely education about how to recycle the PPE, the hazardous, the PPE equipment that people are using. So, okay, any other further discussion on this matter? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to staff reports. And we have our shredding program, document shredding program.
I'm going to hand it off to Andy.
Excuse me one second, Liz, I'm gonna run to Public Works.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Or wait, no, I'm not. I guess I'm not if Jim's still.
Yeah, we're not starting yet.
Okay, then I'm still here.
Okay, Andy, are you still on, or
Okay,
did you want me to?
No, I am here. So the document shredding, I provide an update on where we are at. So we had communities that, two specifically, that canceled out. They're all townships, and they have opted not to hold a document shredding where we had money allocated. We did have a third community, Glen Ellen, has provided the money back into the pot in case there's another event that can use it instead. They are still looking at trying to set up a date. However, they don't have anything currently set up. So the municipalities and townships that you have on the memo, Wayne Township, Village of Woodridge, City of Wooddale, City of Aurora, Waynefield Township, and City of Wheaton, and Village of Lisle, all have dates set. So the Village of Lisle actually just sent me their date. They're going to be October 24th, and it'll be 9 to 12 p.m. Some of these were from the spring, so they are rescheduled events, as normally we do have these spread out a little bit better. So these are all up on our calendar. We do have them on our events section, as well as any of the private events that we are aware of. We also put those on our calendar and in our events section as well.
Thank you, Andy. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, thank you so much. We will move on to our presentation, our scarce. Okay,
Hi.
Hello, take the floor.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
So really good discussion today, a bunch of stuff. So e-learning, we've been meeting with principals and superintendents because not all the schools have decided what they're doing. District 87 just now decided to change from a hybrid to e-learning. So a lot of schools are in a very big time of flux, is the best I can say. District 205, Elmhurst, was talking hybrid. Now they're pretty much talking e-learning. So we really don't know what very many of the schools are doing just yet. And I have a feeling the next week or so we'll be hearing more. And what's going on around the country, even the schools that are starting, then they're closing within a day, some of them. So, but we are very thrilled to say that we received a grant. We wrote a grant for e-learning equipment. So it is very expensive to be able to work with kids in their classroom through Zoom and so forth. So we were able to, with this money, we were able to work with some technology experts at the school districts here in DuPage County and order equipment that will help us with microphones and smart TVs that will be able to actually have the kids ask a question and we'll be able to answer the question for the kids in class. So it'll be very engaging and very back and forth. That's the hardest part, of course, about teaching is checking for understanding to see what the kids know and what they have still questions about. So we are pretty excited about that grant and grateful for that grant because that saved us a lot of money and we'll be able to create quality programs. So one of the first ones we're working on is our pedal power energy bike, and working with the superintendents and principals, they talked about 15-minute classes, half-hour classes, 5-minute classes. So we are working to look at our programs to say, what can we do in 5 minutes for the younger kids? We've also started doing environmental books online with links for the teachers or for the families of students to be able to go and learn, do a deeper dive and get more information. So we have spent most of June and July working and talking to superintendents, principals, technology experts to be able to bring really quality programs to the kids. And again, we're grateful to that for that grant money. Yes, it is going to be completely different. Workshops for teachers with our new space that Ms. Salmon brought up. We will be able to do some small teacher workshops. Our classroom is very, very large and there'll be plenty of space in between, but we are also thinking of teaching the teachers via this new e-learning and then having the teachers just pick up the equipment from us to use with their students. And we have applied for a COVID grant to help us because even paper making, we will have to buy all new sponges. Every child will need their own sponge and then they'll need to be sanitized so they come back. So things that we used to
Brian, we're starting public works.
we won't be able to share anymore. So those are the kinds of things that we are looking at to make it safe for everybody and make it quality programs. Next slide. Joy? Okay. So you guys are right. We've been working really hard to readjust our programs. So I have the Naperville Rotary After Dark program that we'll be doing via Zoom, the Environmental Commission in West Chicago, Suburban Garden Club in Hinsdale, Senior Spirits. So you can see what we'll be doing. And then the Clarendon Hills Earth Flag is a really big deal for this village. I believe they will be village number 8. To earn their Earth Flag. They have done a tremendous amount of work, and at that Earth Flag ceremony we will be having a tour of their new train station with all the energy conservation and covered bike parking area. They'll be getting their water quality flag as well that day, so I hope some of you will be able to join us, or if it'll be online and we can check it later. Next slide.
Beforehand, I'm supposed to let the members know that Public Works is starting. Chairman Healy is starting Public Works. So, go ahead.
Could I ask a quick question before we
Yes.
move on?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I had thought that Wooddale was eligible for some sort of flag before everything went crazy.
Yes.
Are
yes.
they still in the docket?
They are. They are trying to figure out the date.
Okay.
So they're
okay.
looking at an October date. They were looking at a September date. Now they're kind of looking at an October date. Yes, you're absolutely right. We're
Okay.
just waiting. These are the ones we for sure have the dates. We have other projects that we're waiting on the dates. Lyle Library There's another library. I'm trying to think of which other library is in the work. Oh, Elmhurst Library. Those two
great.
libraries are waiting for dates as well. They're just waiting for their boards and how they can do it.
Okay, sounds
You
good.
are correct. You are correct.
Thank you.
So this is fabulous. And, you know, when you guys were talking about the hazardous waste site, you know, we were able to work together 2 years ago, I think it was now, and the money we were spending on the latex paint program and have latex paint spread out around the county. So no cost to the county, and able to get the recycling extravaganzas and special events to take on that latex paint. And actually last year, the first kind of full year, we collected more paint than we did with the latex program. So that's really wonderful. Spread around the county and zero cost. These are this is the new project. This is aerosol paint cans. We're working with a company called Flat Can. They work in concert with Elgin Recycling for the aerosol can. So this will be a couple of things. It'll be fee-based, just like the latex paint program. People will bring their aerosol paint cans to these events that are coming up. They'll pay a fee, $1 or $1.25 per can. And we will be able to get, Kane County just did it. They had a really great success. And again, when we started the latex paint program with a fee, no complaints. I mean, I can count on one hand how many complaints we've had. So we're expecting not to have any complaints for the aerosol cans. And again, taking the burden off the hazardous waste site. And then the third part is spreading it around the county, making it accessible for a lot more people spread out. So Elmhurst is doing both latex paint and the aerosol cans. So if you look at that, we've got 4 programs trying them out with this new aerosol can. So we're very excited about it. And Kane County, like I said, it went really well in the project they did 2 weeks ago. So we're looking forward to that. I think too, as we're on fee-based, a lot of communities around the country have fee-based paper shredding. And many people who come to these events, they say, you know, if I could pay $2, I'd bring, you know, for another box, I could bring another box. So we could do fee-based just like we've done with latex, and now that we're doing with aerosol can, and not lower the amount of participation, in fact, spread it around even more. I think the paper shredding program has been wonderful, spread around the county, but this way residents might be interested in not bringing us magazines. As we sort the paper that comes into Wheaton, these are not, they're supposed to be documents that you want shredded to protect your privacy. We get magazines, we get photographs. Photographs are not shreddable. They're not something that they can go in the shredding machine. So we're contaminating the paper shredding with stuff that then if they want to pay for getting their magazines shredded, I guess so be it. But I think fee-based paper shredding would be wonderful. And I think, again, just like the 2 paint programs, we will not have any complaints at all. And we would be happy to add that to many of our projects. It has been successful with the latex paint. I think it would be successful this way as well. Go ahead, Joy. So these recycling extravaganzas, I know we had 2 this weekend. Burr Ridge was very, very successful. 45 minutes before the start, there was quite a line going out, I guess, towards one big road. So we're grateful for their help. The ones coming up, I saw that some are getting the paper shredding from the county, but some are paying for the paper shredding on their own. Roselle was one of the communities that canceled their event because their bank that was doing 4 truckloads couldn't do it, and we were hoping to get some of the ones that maybe canceled in the spring, but the timing just didn't work out, so Roselle had to cancel. We are still waiting on another event that will be in that should be in Lombard. They have their location now in Glen Ellen, I guess, but it's District 48 is working on another date. We're thrilled to have Milton Township with their first event, and they are doing paper shredding and funding it that way. So these are the events that are upcoming, and it has taken a lot of work to get all these places rescheduled, to get dates, to get locations, and then to get companies. So for instance, the Woodridge Rotary event, 2 electronics companies couldn't help them because they were already booked. So we found a 3rd electronics company now that they're working with. It's kind of the same for the paper shredding. I'm lumping so many into the fall has been hard to get enough paper shredding companies to help everybody. So we're thrilled to have the Downers Grove Sanitary District. They earned their Earth flag this year, and they're working on their water quality flag, and they are doing the latex paint program with us. So We're thrilled to have 2 whole new projects, Milton Township and Downers Grove Sanitary District, as well as adding the flat can program. Go ahead, Joy. So it's our 30th anniversary. We have no idea what that will look like. We had planned 3 days, the 25th, 27th, and 29th. Now, of course, due to COVID and so forth, we're being extremely careful, cautious. When you guys were talking about the fees for COVID, we have spent over $1,000 on sanitizing, hand sanitizing, equipment sanitizing, chemicals, and finding the ones that are EPA approved as well as CDC approved has been a chore. And then, of course, making a screen for all the teachers and the people who come in to protect our staff and to reduce the amount of contact that we have. So it has been expensive, but I think it is progressing safely. So I did want to just say that we are incredibly grateful to the superintendents and principals who in this very busy time are taking times. They want us to keep the contact with their schools. It's on them coming to us asking for help, which is fabulous in how busy a time they are having, probably the most extraordinary times of their careers, I'm sure. But to make sure that we keep that continuity and that momentum going in their schools so that they don't lose track of that. And I think the specifics of the amount of time that they want us to make programs, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, and so forth, because that's what they need to kind of be, separate the kids. Otherwise, their teacher, it's going to be like one voice. So they want short things that help break up the classes, but bring the science and the environmental studies, all those things relevant to that age group in short bursts so that they can use it throughout the week and reinforce it with short bursts. Because in the classroom, a lot of times you introduce something and then later on you review it and you go back. If they're too long of programs, they won't have time to go back to review. So they want short ones that they can plug in throughout the weeks to keep the momentum going. So we are grateful to them for that help. We are anxious to help reduce the burden at the hazardous waste site. I think we've been able to do that with the latex paint, now with the aerosol cans, the cooking oil, of course, which we started, that reduces the burden on them. We have another town that's interested in joining us on that. So we're grateful for that, just waiting for the final okay. And I think we could do that with the paper shredding. And we'll be doing mercury thermometer, barometer, and thermostat collection at the Wheaton event. I usually do it at Roselle and Wheaton. So next season, we'll be looking to add that to more communities. So thanks you guys for your time.
Thanks so much, Kate. Great report.
I don't know if there's any questions or anything.
Yeah, appreciate all the good work you're doing. Does anybody have any questions for Kay?
I did. So, Kay, that schedule of all the events, I know every time you speak to us, you sort of update us on the upcoming events.
Yes.
Is that available? Is that on the, I guess, Joy, this is really for you. Is that on the DuPage website?
Yes, we do update all the events on our website.
Okay, so because that particular format is on our website, right?
Yes.
Awesome.
Yep, it's waste and recycling, upcoming events, and then we're listing on a monthly basis what the upcoming events.
It's not incredibly easy to find, I'll say, but okay.
It is not. I'm afraid we don't get a prominent spot on the county's website, so it is tucked in a little bit.
Mr. Elliott, so what's important about that list too is we're still waiting for some of the towns to get us their final list of what they're going to be taking, and then the flyers will be attached to that. So when you go to that date or that location, the flyer will be there about what they're taking as well.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh, Member Salvin?
Just quickly, sort of follow up on what Member Elliott said. Is there a way that if we do use this COVID dollars for either marketing or the other project, if we could ask that we be a part of that like scrolling thing on the front page when you log in? Because I think if we're spending dollars to make sure that people know they can have a place to go put all these things they're cleaning up, we want to make sure they know that that's a resource, even though things are weird.
That's a great idea, yes.
That's a great point. And I know we did that with the household hazardous waste facility. When this came up last year, it was on the front page and it scrolled. So maybe a a week maybe before the event or the week of the event, we can put the event on that scrolling on the front page. I think that would be really helpful. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, and I think Ashley, when you were talking about people cleaning out, our #1 phone calls here, sometimes on a Monday, there's 98 messages, okay? Everybody is cleaning, everybody's organizing, people are downsizing. So the phone calls have been a great way to reach people. They all take time, but between email, most of the calls, it's amazing, it's the phone calls. People want to kind of have, I think especially when you've been sequestered at home, if you will, talking to a human, not looking at a flat screen. So people are calling more than ever for contact, I think, besides that they're cleaning, downsizing, moving. They also have a little more time to think about what's in their garage. So I think there's a combination of things going on, but the phone calls, you get somebody on, you call them back, and they are not talking about one thing. They're talking about 5 things, and it takes more time. We are glad that they're calling, but I think a lot of the actual phone calls versus email or checking websites is that people want contact.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So, yeah, no, I think it was a great report. And you know, something that you mentioned, Kate, too, about the cleaning products, because I've been noticing, even when I walked into Target yesterday, the cleaning products, it was overwhelming. And I think we're going to have another issue with people being exposed to all these chemicals too with the cleaning of the COVID. That's going to be a whole other issue that we'll be discussing probably in the next meeting or next year or whatever. It really is going to be an issue. Go ahead, Kate.
And you know, they have already, the Food and Drug Administration, they have already recalled and warned people about over 75 different hand sanitizers that have the wood methane alcohol or whatever it's called. So you are absolutely right. And the pediatricians, we work with the Great Lakes Pediatric Organization in Chicago, and that regional office, Dr. Susan Buchanan, who we worked with on the children's health, she said these young kids touching those chemicals with their skin that is so absorbent, very, very scary times. It'd be best if there was a sink with soap at the entrance to buildings instead of this hand sanitizer, but they are very concerned about that.
Yep, absolutely. So thanks for all the work you do. It's so appreciated. Does anybody else have any other questions or comments for Kate? Okay, seeing none, we're going to move on to, does anybody have any old business? Anybody have any new business? I just did want to make a comment, and this is maybe Joy. You know, we usually have Kathleen Franzik from the League of Women Voters that participates in our meetings. So we couldn't send her to the Zoom link for security, and I know she likes to participate, and she wasn't able to make it into the building today, and I don't blame her for not even wanting to come in. But you know, we appreciate her coming to the meetings and we appreciate her participation. So I just wanted to make that note that that's why she's not here today. And she's going to be watching the video link on that. So, but other than that, without objection, I think we'll move to adjourn. Thank you.